The Type 540 aluminum sport roadster was actually the brainchild of Max Hoffman. And Max was the distributor for Porsche in the United States, based in New York. And he really pushed Dr. Ferdinand Porsche and Ferry Porsche to build their first purpose-built race car. The Type 540 would later become known as the America Roadster, mainly because Max Hoffman ordered the majority of production. 15 aluminum-bodied cars were sent to America, except for one exception. One car stayed in Germany. Over history of cars being shown at Pebble, Porsche is not what you typically see out there. It's very form and function. And the America Roadster, being the significance of Porsche's first production-based race car, fit the bill for selection for Pebble. One of the main challenges, and we've never attempted this as a company, is that we restored a car in 7 months. Over 4,200 hours in 7 months, which is a process that usually takes us 2 years.
One of the first steps of a concourse restoration is stripping the car to bare metal. Because the America Roadster is an alloy body car, when we stripped it to metal, there's certain procedures to strip the car and not make the metal thin. With that process, we found some poor quality repairs, we found some metal was thin in areas, and some pretty significant damage. Where we found thin or warped metal, we did have to create some patch panels, recreate those panels from the same composition of alloy. In areas where there's poor quality welds that weren't original, we had to smooth those, all while maintaining that original character and detail and the craftsmanship from 1952.
In this new era of restoration work, where there's an emphasis on authenticity and we're not recreating history, we're trying to preserve history, one of the things we really had to be careful with on this restoration is not over-restoring it. So when you open up the panels, you can see the hammer marks, you can see the rivets of the aluminum body to the production steel chassis. And we were fastidious about maintaining all those original production details of how the cars were actually built. One of the few missing pieces from this restoration were the bumpers. So we looked at 3 other America Roadster aluminum body cars and were able to determine what the original bumpers, how they looked, and how they were shaped to the car, because they're specific to the America Roadster and actually do not fit any other 356 model or production car. So this really meant that we had to make these bumpers from scratch, as well as the bumper guards, because again, these were different bumper guards in terms of the shape and size that had to fit these specific bumpers, and we had to cast the bumper guards as well as make the bumpers themselves from scratch. And that was one of the more difficult tasks of the restoration. And we also realized through research, through Porsche archives and photo documentation, that the early cars had a specific export trim. So our cars theoretically would have had the thicker aluminum export trim that came on the early America Roadsters. The 2 engine grills are unique because they are built for the double concave shape of the engine lid. And Chassis 9 did not have its original engine grills. So we had to literally make these from scratch using original engine lid fins and the actual frame. And we made a body buck of the engine lid shape of the double concaves, because they're going like this, parallel, horizontally and vertically. And so we had to make these engine grills from scratch so that they fit just like the original ones to that double concave shape. And that was very labor intensive.
The original color of the America Roadster is called Fire Red. It's the only Porsche ever to be painted in fire red. The car had been painted a few times, so that original color was gone. But as we were stripping the car, we were able to find a portion of the original color underneath the engine lid. So we scanned that color with a photographic lens that recreates paint hues, and we're able to actually recreate that fire red color, which is a very pure red. It doesn't have any other toners in it, no black or white like a normal Guards red or other Porsche reds. And because it does not have any other color toners in that mixture, it is a very vibrant red. It's the most vibrant red that Porsche has probably created.
The Porsche factory Cardex on chassis 12336 did not confirm and did not have any recording of what the interior color was. And through research and through actually Rex McAfee, who's the son of Jack McAfee, was able to pull out some pictures of when his father owned Chassis 9. And in those pictures, we were able to concisely see that the car was fire engine red in its original paint and with its original interior of light gray leather. So this was really an aha moment for us in terms of the research, and I love being able to confirm and do the cars authentically and genuine to how they were built. One of the challenges after looking at hundreds and hundreds of samples of light gray leather was finding the right grain and the right hue of light gray without having to actually dye it ourselves. So that was, again, a nuanced victory in just one of the restoration details. Some of the aspects of the restoration that were really challenging were particularly the convertible top. It has over 36 individual patterns that were sewn together. And that was really difficult, and we used the original cotton blend, which stretches and pulls in all kinds of interesting ways. So that's really one of the masterpieces of the overall restoration. It gives the car a really overall, really interesting look, and it helps the visuals and perspective of the car. In years past, we have always prepped at Pebble Beach in the polo field. And I've learned my lessons that it's really impossible and a difficult task at best to prep a car in a polo field where there's cars driving by. So this year we actually were fortunate enough to be able to co-rent a garage in the Pebble Beach Lodge neighborhood. And it was such a luxury because we were able to take our time over 4 days and properly prep the way we're used to for any major concours competition. One of the difficult decisions we made for the concours this year at Pebble Beach was, do we restore the car in its peak race form, sans windshield and bumpers as it was raced in 1952, or do we do it in production form from Glasser Hoyer as it was ordered by Max Hoffman and John von Neumann? Ultimately, we decided to do as delivered spec. And it really, I think, spoke to the elegance of the car, the design of the car, with many of the Commenda design elements that make it such an elegant Porsche and coach-built Porsche. And ultimately, I think it was the right decision because it showed one of the few instances where Porsche built a coach-built sports car and, in effect, their first race car. This was our 4th time competing at the Pebble Beach d'Elegance with a Porsche, and it was certainly the most difficult class that we've ever competed in. All 6 cars in the class were very competitive and could have finished on the podium. And the 4 GT that raced at Le Mans, the one-off Maserati that finished 3rd at the Mille Miglia in 1955 were stiff competition. The emotions of competing at Pebble Beach are dramatic, to say the least. It's the only concours in the world where you have the format of being selected to be the 3 finishers in your class, and you do not know your placement until you pull up to the staging area. And in a very dramatic fashion, they switch up the placement of the class. So in one rotation, it will be 3rd, that is called first in order, or it will be 1st. So as you sit there in that staging area, the array of emotions after performing 4,200 plus hours of long nights, long days with a small group of people, it's no feeling like it in the world. When we found out we had placed 3rd, it was a sad moment for us. But after the fact, shortly that day, we really appreciated and we're grateful that we were able to podium for the 4th time at Pebble Beach. I think it's easy to lose perspective when you've put so much energy into something, particularly in this case, over 4,200 hours of restoration work in 7 months. And at the end, we were so grateful to be able to participate at the 2018 Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance on the 70th anniversary of Porsche and come away with a 3rd podium finish with the American Roadster.